So I'll start by saying that there's been a drought in California's Great Central Valley. The drought spanned from 2012 to 2016 and is still continuing as we speak. A drought is just a fancier way of saying there's a shortage of water. It's clearly an emergency and a threat to the West Coast residents. And when I say West Coast, I'm mentioning California, Oregon, and also Washington. So to start with the facts. The shortage of water began in 2012 after the Central Valley in California sank by 60 centimeters. It's a terrible disaster that is already beginning to run its course throughout humanity. Some of the ways people found out about this is that it began in 2014 when a group of NASA scientists went to take a look at the infrastructure beneath the valley's aqueduct. The scientists found that in 2014, one section of this layer had dipped by 20 centimeters in about 4 months actually, which was extremely alarming. It was also found that half the aquifers located in the Central Valley, California are terribly depleted, which explains why there's not that much water there anymore. And it also explains the excessive sagging reported over such a short period of time. NASA grave scientists were looking at the gravitational pull of the water masses recorded over the state of California. It was found that during the time leading up to June 2014, the water in the central regions of California were extremely depleted. This evaporation, excessive use of water began in 2008 as stated and recorded by NASA scientists. So the main cause is that farmers have continuously pumped water out of the ground for use on their crops to irrigate them, which is draining thick layers underneath the surface in which the water is stored. This causes sagging, which can make canals carry less water, which lessens the amount of water being distributed to people. This excessive pumping not only drains a lot of water from the aquifer, but also jeopardizes the type of water quality that's being distributed to refill their compartments. Although the main focus is that if the water is pumping too hard for too long, then the aquifer might run out of water over time because of the lack of precipitation due to deforestation and the forest fires and the dry air. A notable effect that this could have on the community is that if the problem isn't fixed, clay could form a small particle of dust called arsenic due to excessive pumping, which might not be safe for everyone. And even though it's non-combustible, if exposed to flammable material, it could explode, which poses a great threat to people. And since drinking water becomes irrelevant if it isn't safe to drink. Another effect is that if the water in the aquifer is limited, which means that if the problem isn't resolved, then over time, residents of Central California might not have any water whatsoever to fill their basic needs every day. Lastly, this does not affect only the people residing in this area, but the farms can also be affected, which means that agriculture could see a decreased amount of production in crops since there's less water to be irrigated among those crops. This is a crucial issue to focus on since agriculture is the most important part of life in populated areas and is one of the largest industries in America and in California. So the best solution is that when a tree is harvested, 3 seedlings should be planted to substitute. With more trees being planted, there will be a higher rate of transpiration, which can later contribute to condensation, which is the formation of clouds through a process of condensation. After these two processes, precipitation takes place, which can naturally refill the aquifers with rainwater, which is the best type of water to be put into these aquifers. If these aquifers are filled up with an adequate amount of water, there will be a more minuscule chance of damage in Earth's geosphere since there is a larger amount of reinforcement being put onto the layers of Earth. The other solution would be to restrict any water from going to waste. The water that is still intact, the water that they still have after being used, can be recollected, recycled, and made sure to be a safe substance to reuse.